Kevin Owens will challenge Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. But tonight on SmackDown, champion and challenger put pen to paper in an explosive contract signing. The promo segment headlined a broadcast that also featured the first contest of the SmackDown Tag Team Championship tournament, pitting McIntyre and Sheamus against the Viking Raiders. Who emerged from that match victorious, and what went down when Owens and Reigns came face to face? Find out now on the Cerebral Smack Talk. Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. I am Anthony Florio, sitting in tonight for good old MF Michael Fletcher. I am joined this evening by the Phenom Michael Bullock, and let's not waste any more time, and let's dive right on into the penultimate Friday Night SmackDown before the Royal Rumble, as it was live tonight from the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan, the home of the NHL's Red Wings and NBA's Pistons, on Fox, as always. And we started it off with the first match of the SmackDown number one contenders tournament. Of course, this is the tournament that Adam Pearce announced last week. And the winners of this tournament will challenge the Usos down the road for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. First match of that tournament that was already promoted in advance, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre squaring off against the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar, Valhalla in their corner as always. Winners of the match in 17 minutes and 48 seconds, and moving on to the semifinals of this tag team tournament, it was the Banger Bros, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. No surprise with the outcome. And also, this was the fight of the night. I mean, it was every bit the heavy-hitting bout. It was every bit the heavy-hitting bout we expected, with both teams clubbing their way to sustained advantages at different points in the bout. The babyface Banger Bros would have to fight from underneath on more than one occasion, but McIntyre and Sheamus did, and ultimately worked together to score the win over the very game, Eric and Ivar. There's a real argument to be made that this should have been the finals of the tournament. Eric and Ivar are still relatively fresh in their reboot, and beating them here so decisively without any build for the tandem feels like the wrong move. Of course, if not them, who? Legado del Fantasma could use a signature win or two before battling the Banger Bros. Same can be said for Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser of Imperium. Even Hit Row, fresh off a heel turn on Ricochet, can hardly afford a loss. But considering McIntyre and Sheamus are former WWE champions and top stars on the blue brand, it's difficult to imagine any of the other teams in this tournament knocking them off, so the argument may be for naught. At least the Viking Raiders had the chance to steal the show from the opening match spot, reminding fans, officials, and analysts of their skills in doing so against top-tier talent. Before we get into the match, Michael Cole, on commentary, acknowledged the passing of Jay Briscoe. He sent WWE's condolences to the family of Jay Briscoe, who passed away unexpectedly this past Tuesday. The Viking Raiders, who were also alumni of Ring of Honor, they sported Dem Boys armbands in memory of their friend. The pace quickened with the hot tag to Drew McIntyre and his ensuing Michinoku driver to Ivar for a 2 count. Ivar countered a Claymore kick from Drew McIntyre with a spin kick. McIntyre leveled Eric with a Claymore, setting Ivar up for the bro kick from Sheamus for the win. Great match to start this off. I'm going to give this about 4 to 4.25 stars, and I'll even go as far as to call this the fight of the night, because it was the fight of the night. Even though the outcome was predictable, I'm glad they made the Viking Raiders look damn near like $1 million tonight, and that's exactly what Sheamus and Drew did in this one. And it was also announced earlier tonight that both Sheamus and Drew McIntyre will both be entering the 2023 Men's Royal Rumble match that goes down next Saturday night at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. And we're going to preview that very set event on this program 1 week from tonight, so don't miss that. And hopefully MF will be back for that. But for right now, 4 to 4.25 stars. Great way to start it off. So not much more to say. Phenom, Michael Bullock, come on in. Banger Bros, McIntyre and Sheamus defeating the Viking Raiders, 17 minutes and 48 seconds. And they are the first team to advance in this SmackDown Tag Team Title Contender Tournament. And on top of that, already a big day for the Banger Bros, not only with this win, but also Sheamus and Drew throwing their hat into the ring for the Royal Rumble, both looking to win a second Rumble in their Hall of Fame careers.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, this was definitely, I mean, a great way to start off SmackDown. I mean, instead of a promo, you get a banger of a match with these two teams. I mean, 4.25 stars, hands down the fight of the night. I mean, yes, the outcome was predictable, but in the end, I mean, even in defeat, I thought the Viking Raiders looked really good. I mean, I know people would have wanted to see the Viking Raiders go over here, but they're still getting acclimated with their new heel role, especially now with Valhalla and being in their corner. So yeah, so to me, I think this was the right outcome here. So and yeah, like you said, a big day for the Banger Bros, because now not only do they advance, but Sheamus and Drew McIntyre are entering the men's Royal Rumble match. So, and each of them are looking to win their second Royal Rumble match. Of course, Sheamus won it in 2012, and of course Drew McIntyre won it in 2020. So we'll see what happens with that. But 4.25, the fight of the night. It's yours, Florio.
Yep, and we move on. And we move on now to well, there was a backstage moment with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. That was a backstage moment. It was also announced. Well, I think it was already announced. Raquel Rodriguez is gonna. She cut a promo, backstage promo about winning the Women's Royal Rumble match in her home state of Texas. So we'll see what happens with that.
And Florio, quickly, I want to address the backstage thing that we saw with Sami Zayn. I mean, you could tell. I mean, he dapped with the with the Usos and Solo Sikoa, but Roman didn't join in on it. No. What does that tell you?
There's more to that than meets the eye here. No doubt about that. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's all but inevitable, Florio.
Oh yeah.
I think the bloodline is gonna turn on Sami Zayn.
Well, there have been. I did hear a possible dirt sheet about a possible Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn match next month at the Elimination Chamber in Sami's hometown of Montreal, mind you.
Yeah, and then of course this is where where we think what we're going to predict here is that it's going to be Sami and Kevin Owens that dethrone or end the long reign of the Usos.
Well, let's not forget that the tag team titles are apparently going to be split up now, so we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. But
yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye on that situation.
Of course, the Usos defend the Raw Tag Team Championships as part of Raw is 30, and we'll address that at the end of the show as part of future content. But let's get into let's continue on here with Friday Night SmackDown. LA Knight in a squash match against some guy named Ren Jones. LA Knight won the match in 58 seconds. We're not going to waste any time on that. But what did happen after the match, we saw the return Bullock of the Firefly Funhouse.
Yowie wowie.
Yowie wowie is right. Bray Wyatt, of course, with the crew. Ramblin' Rabbit, Abby the Witch, Mercy the Buzzard, Huskus the Pig Boy. They were all there. And I heard, and social media definitely got excited about this because they think could possibly Bullock we possibly see the return of the Fiend?
I think it's all but inevitable, Florio. I mean, when you got the Firefly Funhouse, I mean, you know the Fiend is not that far behind.
Definitely. And who knows?
So
maybe...
I think at the Royal Rumble, sorry, LA Knight, in that lights out match, you ain't getting regular Bray Wyatt. No way. And unlucky for you, man, you're going to get the Fiend. And let me tell you, LA Knight, you're going to be in for one heck of a rough night because we've seen what the Fiend can do.
Former two-time Universal Champion. So
Yeah, and of course, if I know you for it, you're going to be like, the Fiend, the Fiend, the Fiend.
well, it's MF's show now, so MF will be handling that. But nonetheless, we'll have to wait and see what happens come next Saturday night. Second match of the SmackDown Tag Team Contender Tournament. Hit Row, Top Dollar, and Ashante D. Adonis with B-Fab in their corner, squaring off against the Los Lotharios, Humberto Carrillo, and Angel Garza. Hit Row wins the match, 2 minutes, 52 seconds. Not really much more to say here. Not too much of a, obviously it wasn't much of a match. And it was too short to be very good. The fans struggled to get into it, mostly because they did not know who to cheer for. Los Lotharios have been heels for so long and have not been featured consistently enough for fans to get behind, making this one less successful than it could have been. Hit Row has the presence and charisma, but booking them against heels in their first appearance as heels is hardly the way to get them over right out of the gate. So, we're just gonna leave it at that. So we'll see what happens with that. So I probably would give that about 1.5 for the effort. So then we had the SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair cut a promo. She called out Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville showed up, and Sonya with another cheap shot on Charlotte. And there's definitely more than that than meets the eye here, no question about it. Total throwaway segment that served as a disappointing follow-up to last week's refreshingly intense backstage brawl. Our guess is we're probably looking at a Royal Rumble title match between the two with no real drama of a potential title change to speak of. So, we're not even going to, waste too much time on that. Then we had the third match of the SmackDown tournament. Imperium, Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci squaring off against the Brawling Brutes, Rich Holland and Butch. Renewal of that great rivalry from late last year. And Imperium wins the match, 9 minutes and 17 seconds. Michael Bullock, Imperium, and the Brawling Brutes renewing old acquaintances here. And forgot to mention first off that McIntyre and Sheamus will be facing Hit Row in one semifinal next week, and Imperium advances to the other semifinal. We'll address their opponent in a bit, but Bullock, Imperium, big win for them as Vinci and Kaiser defeat the Brawling Brutes in 9 minutes and 17 seconds.
Yeah, I'll give this 3 stars here. I mean, this was another banger of a match here, and yeah, Vinci and Kaiser. I mean, so far with the biggest win of their time on SmackDown, and now advanced to the semifinals of the SmackDown Tag Team Titles tournament. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. But I really enjoyed the match. I mean, it was all was expected. So, I mean, yeah, many people thought that that Butch and Ridge Holland were going to go over, but no, Imperium go over here. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah, 3 stars for me. Second best fight of the night here, no doubt about it. At this point, it should surprise absolutely no one that these two teams are capable of a banger of a match every time they oppose each other. They have worked together a ton, both on TV and at live events, and their chemistry is undeniable. It does feel somewhat like Butch and Holland have taken a backseat of late, especially with Sheamus partnering with Drew McIntyre, and their loss here did nothing to negate that observation. Considering the number of heel teams in this tournament, it would have made sense for them to pick up the win and at the very least tease a showdown with the Celtic Warrior in the final. At the same time, Imperium is a high-profile heel act on Friday nights, and building momentum for them is hardly a bad thing. Vinci and Kaiser face the winners of Legado del Fantasma and Maximum Male Models, which we'll get into in just a moment. Ridge the Fridge, England's answer to William Perry, Wade Barrett said, name-dropping a member of the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame, who was inducted at WrestleMania 22 in 2006 in Chicago. Vinci drove Holland into the ring steps, momentarily taking him out of the equation. He followed up moments later with a springboard moonsault to Butch. And then Vinci delivered a brainbuster on the floor to Butch, setting Holland up for the finish. Solid 3 stars. Definitely the second best fight of the night. And now the final first round match of this SmackDown Contenders Tournament, as it was the Maximum Male Models, Mansois and Marseille, with the lovely Maxine Dupree, Sophia Cromwell, in their corner against Legado del Fantasma, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde, with Santos Escobar and Zelina Vega in their corner. Winners of the match, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And advancing to the semifinals, it was Legado del Fantasma. And yeah, the match gave the model wannabes an opportunity to showcase their abilities after being off of television for a bit. But this was all about Legado del Fantasma. Del Toro and Wilde showed up and showed out, winning a fairly easy bout and cashing their ticket to next week and a showdown with Imperium. Ooh, that's going to be something. Again, the tournament is heel heavy, but Legado del Fantasma is talented enough and has the ability to pull off the crowd-pleasing, high-flying offense to win the WWE Universe over against Kaiser and Vinci. If it's given enough time, that has the potential to be a gem of a match. Kudos to Zelina Vega, who continues to make the most of every second of television time and should be doing more than she is right now. And actually, she will, because because Zelina Vega on commentary announced that not only will Santos Escobar enter the men's Royal Rumble match, but Zelina Vega herself will also be an entrant in the women's Royal Rumble match. So there's that. So this was about another 1.5 star or so bout, to be honest. Nothing really to speak of there. So, and then we had the closing segment of the night. Roman Reigns, the undisputed Universal Champion, with Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa with him, and Kevin Owens, contract signing for their undisputed Universal Championship match next Saturday night at the Royal Rumble. And Michael Bullock, or in this case, JBL, what usually happens during contract signings?
It doesn't end well.
And guess what? This one did not end well. Oh no, it did not end well for Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. Instead of the same repetitive and predictable segment that we have seen 1,000 times before, Kevin Owens attacked from out of nowhere, dropping Solo Sikoa before delivering a stunner to the Tribal Chief. He put him through a table, signed the contract, and stared down Sami Zayn as he hit the ring to make the save. The prize fighter made his way through the crowd, standing tall among the fans to close out the show. This was great. This was the segment of the night. Owens has such a connection with the audience that stuff like this, smart and true to the performer himself, almost always hits. That he brings intensity in situations like these and helps to elevate them. From an overarching story perspective, Roman Reigns made the mistake of sending Sami Zayn away with the Usos, meaning he endured the beating before they could rush back to the arena to make the save. How likely is he to take the blame after another instance of Owens getting one over on him? And when he inevitably does not, what happens when he takes his frustration out on Sami Zayn? We have seen Sami take the brunt of his Tribal Chief's anger and mounting paranoia. Are we drawing nearer to the moment that he stands up for himself and undergoes the most organic babyface turn in years? All signs would seemingly point to yes, and when it happens, it will be, in the immortal words of Bobby Roode, absolutely glorious. Amen to that. And Paul Heyman cowering in the corner at the threat of Kevin Owens was more of the same excellent work from the wise man. The image of Owens standing among the fans, staring down at the Bloodline from the stands was apropos. He is forever over with the WWE faithful because he is the antithesis of the prototypical superstar. Fantastic segment. Great way to close the show. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, you just said it as JBL. Contract signings don't end well. And ho-ho, for Roman and the Bloodline, this contract segment certainly did not end well.
Yeah, it was pure and utter chaos with this. I mean, Owens basically going after the Bloodline and getting one over on the Tribal Chief. And basically standing over Paul Heyman, and yeah, and of course, Florio, because yeah, I mean, this is definitely the segment of the night, hands down, and so yeah, there's really nothing more for me to add here. And as far as my overall thoughts on this edition of Friday Night SmackDown, I'll give it about 6 out of 10. I mean, you had some good matches, but then again, you also had some matches that were short. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say here. It's yours, Florio.
Actually, I'm gonna go a little higher than you, with all due respect. I'm gonna give it about a 7 because we had that great opening tag team match. We had another solid match with Imperium and uh, the Brawling Brutes there. Uh, 50-50 when it comes to the tournament. We had one great match, we had one solid match, and then we had two what felt like main event type matches, honestly, that you would see on the main event show. That closing segment was amazing, and yeah, some other things could have been better. So I'm gonna go 6.5 to 7. I think that's the appropriate rating for the show. It was a solid show, not overly spectacular. Um, and we'll address next week's show in just a little bit. But for right now, let's um, let's set the table now for AEW Rampage that was taped this past Wednesday night from the Safe Mart Center in Fresno, California, which of course where the 2005 Royal Rumble emanated from. Um, with baddies seemingly falling to the wayside, Jay Cargill teamed up with her last standing ally, Leela Gray, on tonight's show. Jungle Boy battled Ethan Page. Daniel Garcia battled Action Andretti. And Brian Cage took on Willie Mack in a battle of the big men. Let's take a look at what went down during tonight's episode of Rampage. And we started off with the match between All Ego Ethan Page and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Just bear with me for a moment as I get my notes up here. Jungle Boy Jack Perry, All Ego Ethan Page. Jungle Boy Jack Perry wins the match, 10 minutes and 10 seconds. All right. Jungle Boy usually works at a brisk pace, so it was a little surprising to see him and Page take a more methodical approach to this one. It wasn't slow, but it wasn't fast-paced either. Perry was fighting as the underdog, as he usually does. So Ethan Page was in control most of the time. He used his size and power to dominate most of the action, while Jungle Boy did his best to sell each move. Hook made an appearance, but he ended up not being the one who affected the outcome the most. As Ethan Page tried to grab Matt Hardy's ponytail for leverage during a pinfall, Hardy slapped his hand away, and Perry was able to roll him over for the pin and the win. Page challenged Jungle Hook to face him and Matt Hardy this Wednesday night on Dynamite, which was accepted, so we will see that Wednesday night on Dynamite. Perry and Hook teamed up to the challenge. It was a solid opener for Rampage. Nothing too outrageous, but certainly fun. Ethan Page not getting a televised entrance while Jungle Boy Jack Perry did seemed a little wrong to me. The show should either start with both guys in the ring or both given entrances. Not having an entrance used to be known as the jobber entrance for a reason. The look on Matt Hardy's face when Ethan Page hugged him was hilarious, and the power slam combo Page hit looked perfect. He and Perry have good chemistry as opponents. I'll give this about 3 to 3.25 stars for the effort. So, not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, your thoughts as Jungle Boy Jack Perry defeats All Ego Ethan Page in 10 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'll give this about 3.25. I mean, it was a solid match to start off this edition of Rampage. I mean, yeah, to me the outcome was never in doubt. Jungle Boy Jack Perry got one over on All Ego Ethan Page, and yeah, like you said, now it's going to be Jungle Boy and Hook going up against All Ego Ethan Page and Matt Hardy this coming Wednesday on Dynamite. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on.
All right, Bullock, you'll be starting off on the next match, which was the Machine Brian Cage squaring off against Willie Mack. Now, a little background on Willie Mack for anybody who may not know him, and I know, Bullock, you don't know him all too well, but I'll do the best I can with him. Willie Mack, formerly of Lucha Underground, when he was known as the Mac, he also did some work in Impact Wrestling. I believe he also did some work for Ring of Honor too. I'm not sure, but I know the man very well. I know MF knows him very well. But Brian Cage went up against Willie Mack, and Brian Cage won the match 9 minutes and 11 seconds. Now, Bullock, you've seen Brian Cage a few times, but I don't know if you've seen Willie Mack wrestle before, but whatever the case is, how do you look to you tonight?
Yeah, I mean, well, first, what was the time of the fall again?
My apologies. 9 minutes and 11 seconds.
Yeah, I'll give this about maybe 3 stars for the effort here. I mean, I thought it was a fine match. You know what? I'll give it 2.5 to 3. I mean, that's as far as I'll go. I mean, Willie Mack, I thought looked good. I mean, this is the first time I've seen him, especially going up against someone like Brian Cage here. So yeah, I came out impressed with him. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to add on to it. So it's yours, Oreo.
So I'm actually going to give it 3 stars. It felt to me like I was watching an old episode of Lucha Underground, because these were two of the best big men in Lucha Underground, all the way down to the referee. Yeah, referee Rick Knox also was a referee for Lucha Underground. So, and I know MF would have backed me up on that if he was here tonight. But all right. Willie Mack used some of his deceptive speed to take control early, but Brian Cage used some of his deceptive agility to counter some of his moves. These two powerhouses made sure to show off their other attributes. Highly entertaining bout between two big men who know how to make the most out of every move. There is little to no wasted motion with them. After Willie Mack survived a few big moves, Brian Cage finished him off with his own version of a Falcon Arrow for the win. Watch both matches these guys had on Dark and Rampage. They are worth your time. This was a 3-star match, and Mack and Cage have no right to be as quick and nimble as they were in this match. It's always super fun to watch big guys do moves mostly reserved for cruiserweights. The German suplex Brian Cage hit looked great because of how Willie Mack sold it. Cage has a great super kick, and I believe, in my opinion, AEW should sign Willie Mack. Having more big dudes who can put in the work is never a bad thing. So, solid 3 stars, and I've always been high on Willie Mack. So, going back to Lucha Underground and Impact for me. So, all right. Cutout time here. TBS champion Jade Cargill teaming up with Leela Gray. They went up against Jada and Jordan Vanity. Jade Cargill and Leela Gray win the match. 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Jade Cargill with Jaded for the win. So we're gonna have to see what happens with this going forward. Simple match, but it accomplished its goal. It was more than just a squash, which is more than can be said for a lot of Cargill's bouts. TBS champion tagged back in just so she could be the one to get the pin and extend her record to 49-0. I mean, who will Jade get for win number 50? And when will it be? I mean, because we got a lot of time before Revolution. So that's definitely something to think about, because she's 49-0 now. So 50 is next. And they're going to probably want to do something big for that one. So with that, we move on to the main event of the evening. Action Andretti squaring off against Daniel Garcia. Action Andretti does it again. Action Andretti defeats Daniel Garcia. 10 minutes and 37 seconds. I would say by default, this was the fight of the night. After he recovered from Garcia's initial salvo, Action Andretti was able to make a comeback and control the pace for a bit. He put his athleticism on full display with some high-flying moves that included a nice tope suicida, following a fun and energetic match that allowed both men to show off their biggest attributes. Action Andretti was able to steal the win over another member of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Action Andretti has the Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho were equal parts funny and annoying while doing commentary for this bout. Garcia taking out Andretti with a punch in the middle of a dive was a great spot, and Andretti hit a really nice move from the top rope, but he missed the mark a bit, so the landing looked bad. 3.25 stars. That's the best I can give it. I would say this was the fight of the night by a smidge. And Bullock, before I give it to you, let me just put this out there. You remember how last year we unanimously voted for Roxanne Perez as the breakout star of 2022? As of right now, I believe we have ourselves an early front runner for a breakout star of 2023. We definitely need to take Action Andretti seriously and put some respect on his name. I mean, you already beaten Chris Jericho. You've beaten Daniel Garcia. They obviously have big plans for this young man, and I am very, and it definitely makes me very happy to know that AEW is giving this young man quite a bit of a rub here. I mean, at first we're thinking, oh, he's just another ham and egger, jabroni jobber. No, this kid is for real. This young man is for real. So who knows? And if they keep doing what they're doing with him, who knows? He very well could be the breakout star of 2023 when we do our year-end awards. You never know. So not much more for me to add on this. 3.25 stars. Fight of the night by default. Michael Bullock, how about it? Action Andretti, 2-0. He beats Jericho. Several weeks ago, he upset Chris Jericho. And now tonight, he defeats a Jericho Appreciation Society member in Daniel Garcia. He's 2-0. Bullock, there's nothing left for me to say. Keep an eye out for Action Andretti. He's got breakout star of the year potential. All right. I think Bullock might have stepped away for a moment. So we're just going to have to await his return here, and we'll get his thoughts on the main event there. But Action Andretti, man, I'm telling you, I mean, I'm definitely I'm very high on this young man, and I think he's got breakout potential, like I said, and he's definitely someone that we definitely need to keep an eye on in 2023, no question about that. And already with 2 huge wins under his belt, and maybe there could be some bigger wins down the road. You don't know; it's very possible. But that's really all I can say about it. And I'm just waiting on Bullock to come back in. Not sure, he probably stepped away for a moment, but hopefully he'll be back in just a moment, and we'll get his thoughts on Action Andretti defeating Daniel Garcia tonight in 10 minutes and 37 seconds. So that's, but while I wait for Bullock, I could maybe give my overall thoughts on this edition of Rampage. I mean, 3 solid matches, 1, delicious squash, courtesy of Jade Cargill. But yeah, so there isn't much more to get really into here. As far as the overall goes, all right. So I'm just awaiting. I do apologize for the dead air spot here. I'm just awaiting Bullock to come back in. He obviously must have stepped away for just a moment, but yeah, solid show tonight. I mean, but nonetheless, just give me a moment here. So but definitely some big things coming up on the horizon here for our content, especially next week with it being Royal Rumble week. And Bullock, let me know when you're back in so we can get your thoughts on the main event there between Action Andretti and Daniel Garcia. So, but yeah, it was a solid show tonight, solid Rampage here. I probably would give it probably about another 6.5 to 7 out of 10. I mean, we had 3 solid matches. Main event I felt was by a smidge. I felt that was the fight of the night. Although you could also make an argument for Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, and Ethan Page. And then you had a very good big man be a man fight with Brian Cage and Willie Mack. And you had your usual squash match, which was Jade Cargill. But what else is new? A good majority of her matches are delicious squashes anyway. So my thoughts on this Rampage, I say about 6.5 to 7 out of 10, and it's really all I can say about it. So we're still awaiting the return of Michael Bullock here. I'm guessing he probably stepped away, like I said, for a moment, but I'm sure he'll be back in soon enough, and we'll get his thoughts on the main event, and we'll get his overall thoughts on tonight's AEW Rampage. So that's pretty much all she wrote here, as we're just waiting Bullock's return here. So yeah, just like I said, I do apologize for the dead air spot. We're just awaiting Bullock's return, and then we'll set up the rest of the future content for what we can expect on our shows. Royal Rumble week next week, very exciting to think about. Starting with the Raw is 30 show, and then going all the way down the line, and yeah, so Bullock, I don't know if you're back in yet, but if as soon as you are, come on in and give us your thoughts on the main event and the overall thoughts on AEW Rampage tonight, which I gave 6.5 to 7 out of 10. So with that, that's let me get into what we can expect for next week's shows coming up. Royal Rumble week, we started off Monday night, ridiculously Raw, as it will be Raw is 30 from Philadelphia, the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, with those 3 huge main events. Becky Lynch versus Bayley inside of a steel cage. The Usos defending the Raw Tag Team Championship against the Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest. And then the United States Heavyweight Championship will also be on the line as Austin Theory defends against Bobby Lashley. And of course, you can't have a show of this magnitude without several WWE legends and Hall of Famers, from The Undertaker to Hulk Hogan to Ric Flair to Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, so many others. And I can't wait to see all those legends that, made our childhood so much fun to watch back in the day, And I will not be doing a Tony's Take on Monday, because I want to make sure this Ridiculously Raw is all about Raw 30, because it's such a special show, and I feel it deserves a lot of time and recognition for it. So that's pretty much all I can say on that. So that'll be on Monday night, 11 p.m., immediately following Raw is 30, right back here on the Tone 25. Wednesday night, we got Wednesday Night Madness, hosted by good old MF Michael Fletcher, as we will review NXT and AEW Dynamite, as we always do. Thursday night, TXN Sports World NFL Thursday, Conference Championship games. Yes, it's going to be all about but before we get into that, we will recap the divisional playoffs, and then we will preview the NFC Championship game and the AFC Championship game. We'll get into those next week on Thursday night. And then 1 week from tonight on the Cerebral Smack Talk, hopefully MF will be back with us, as we will review the Friday night SmackDown, the go home show, which will feature the 2 semifinal matches in the SmackDown Tag Team Title Tournament, or the Contender Tournament, rather. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus versus Hit Row, and Imperium against Legado del Fantasma. And we're also going to finally get the match. Rey Mysterio, one-on-one with Karrion Kross. That all goes down next Friday night on SmackDown. We'll also review AEW Rampage. And then in our main event, we will preview the 36th annual Royal Rumble from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. The men's Royal Rumble match, the women's Royal Rumble match, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens for the Undisputed Universal Championship, Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship, and of course, LA Knight and Bray Wyatt in that Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. So we'll get into all that next Friday night, and we'll figure out when the recaps will be. But there's really not much more to say on that. That'll be our future content. So with that, that will put the bow on this special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. You already heard about the future content, so with that, let's sign it off. I don't know if Bullock's going to be coming back in. I don't know if we lost him or what happened, but I'm sure Bullock probably would have agreed with me on that Garcia and Andretti main event, as well as the overall thoughts on Rampage. So yeah, not much more for me not much more here. So we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in tonight to this special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, this is Anthony Florio here for the Phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Girl MF Michael Fletcher, and of course, always and forever, the First Lady Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up, Fortune Force style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend, and until Monday night for a very special edition of Ridiculously Raw, where we will review Raw is 30. You've been watching the Cerebral Smack Talk right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one, and of course, let's not forget, as we always like to say, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.